to be joining you all today. Thank you for coming on. So we wanted to do this webinar as kind of a follow-up to our deep dive from last month. So our deep dive from last month was all about taking your practice online. So we talked, about a lot of different things, using telehealth, using Zoom, coaching programs, how to build programs, that kind of thing. And so we had a really amazing turnout from that. So many of you showed up and we had tons of questions. So we really wanted to.
They were scrolling so fast we couldn't even see them.
Exactly, yeah. So we just thought it would be a good opportunity to do a bit of a follow-up and in sort of a Q&A format. So yeah, a lot of you had submitted some of your questions ahead of time with the registration, which we really appreciate. So how we're going to kind of format it today is to use some of the main topics that we covered in the deep dive last month and highlight some of the questions that came in with regards to those topics. And then we'll also give everyone a chance to be asking their questions as we go at the end of each topic. So we will ask if you guys can use the Q&A for your questions, and then the chat we can just use for saying hello, as we just have been doing, but it just helps us to keep it a little more organized. So if you can put it into the Q&A, that would be amazing. Anything else?
Yeah, there's a couple questions about our last deep dive and if it was recorded. So it was recorded and it's actually out on our YouTube channel. So if you go to the Practice Better YouTube channel, you can go to playlists, and there's a playlist for all of our deep dives. So you might see some previous deep dives that you didn't realize were up, and you can watch those also. But we can also include the direct link to that in our replay from this webinar. So you'll have both the deep dive and then the Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool.
Great. Okay, should we just dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in. So Shelley is going to share her screen, and we will probably turn our video off just for a little bit so we can kind of focus on that. But yeah, like we said, definitely let us know your questions in the Q&A, and we're going to go over some of the main ones, but we also want to hear what you have to say live with us right now. So let's do it.
Yeah, so thanks everybody for joining us, and hopefully we'll get through most of your questions today. I am going to start off, since our original deep dive was about going online with Practice Better. So really, for those of you working with clients virtually, or if given the situation that we're in, had to start to transition from in-person to virtual, just sort of the basics of getting your telehealth set up and some of the differences between Practice Better telehealth and Zoom. So I'm going to do a little bit of a review of that, but if you have any questions specifically related to telehealth, to Zoom, anything like that, feel free to put those in the Q&A, and Jen will be monitoring that. So when you're getting your platform set up, and some of you may have already set this up, but if you have decided to use Zoom, just so you know where you can integrate that. So you may already have a Zoom account. So real quick, if you are meeting with more than one person, if you're doing like group coaching or sessions with multiple people and you already are using Zoom, you can connect your Zoom account to Practice Better. So you may be on the free Zoom account. I know I saw a question in the Q&A about the free Zoom, and that if you're on Zoom just with one other person, there isn't a time limit, but if you're on with 3 or more people, then there's a 40-minute time limit. And then if it kicks you off at 40 minutes, you do have to wait another 20 minutes to get back on. But so there's different, plans with Zoom. Now we do have if you do need the Hipaa compliant version of Zoom, you can get that as an add-on. Actually, let me just show you where you would get that. So if you are needing the HIPAA compliant version of Zoom, you can go into my subscription, and then you can say view add-ons. Now I already have that listed here, so it would be $30 a month through Practice Better. But this is where you would go into my add-ons, view add-ons, and then you would see that here. It's not on mine because I already have it added here. But if you don't need the HIPAA compliant version, you can just come into your settings, and then you can go to third-party integration. And then it's super easy. You're just going to come down here and you're going to connect your Zoom and third-party integration. Now mine's the HIPAA compliant version. So with that, you'll notice that with this version, all of the settings that you normally would do in Zoom. Now this is if you signed up, I think it was, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, last weekend. So after last weekend, if you signed up with the add-on, that now you're going to manage all of your Zoom settings in Practice Better. Mm-hmm. So things like if you want when you join, if you want the video to be on, if you want your participants video to be on, there's all these settings that are in Zoom, but now you're going to handle these in Practice Better. And with the HIPAA compliant version, you're only going to record, if you do need to record it, which you can do, you're only going to record it locally to your hard drive. So it will disable the ability to record to the cloud on the HIPAA compliant version. So once you get your Zoom set up, now in settings you'll see telehealth and messaging. So under here, you can click on telehealth right here, and this is where you can specify what you want your default video chat to be. So if you feel like, even if you have Zoom connected, but you feel like most of your sessions are going to be one-on-one and you would rather just use Practice Better, you can set that to the default. Now you can always change that when sessions are, if you're booking a session, but this is just what's going to default. So I'm going to leave it at Zoom. And then here you might, depending on how, if you like to have your windows side by side. So I like to have mine pop up in a new window so that I can have my Zoom window, like not minimized, but smaller side by side with my Practice Better. If you have it open in this, a new browser tab, then you can't really put them side by side unless you like separate that tab into like a separate browser session. So this one will just pop up in a new window, then you can put it side by side, and then here's where you can, again, where those settings are for the HIPAA compliant version of Zoom. So once you,
Yeah, we just got a couple of questions coming in that I thought were relevant to just touch on right now. So one is just simply, what is the HIPAA compliant feature used for? And then how do they know if they need the HIPAA compliant version of Zoom?
Yeah, those are great questions. So the HIPAA compliant, that is definitely something that you would need to chat with your lawyer about, because it's really based, the need for HIPAA is really based on a lot of different variables, like, you know, the state that you live in, your scope of practice, your licensure, what you're even doing on the Zoom. So there's all these different factors that determine whether you need that or not. And that's something that, you know, we cannot tell you whether you need it or not. It's just a matter of like consulting with your legal counsel. But essentially the big difference is that the HIPAA compliant version is not going to be recording in the background, like in the cloud. It's just going to keep it secure on your computer. So then if you need to share that with a client or a patient, you can share that with them in a HIPAA compliant way. Like if you have, say, Dropbox or Google Drive and you've signed a BAA with them and it's HIPAA compliant, you can share that recording with them. But I would definitely consult with your legal counsel, because you really want to make sure that, you know, you're covered if you do need that. But it's really based on too many different variables to get into on this webinar.
Yeah,
Any
thanks.
other questions, Jen?
Yeah, just one I'm seeing here is practice better PIPEDA compliant for Canadians that require it. So just
yes,
yeah.
yes, definitely. If you guys have any like specific questions about the different compliances in the US or Canada or the UK, you can always like email those questions into our customer success team at help@practicebetter.io, and they can give you a lot more specifics about that if you do have questions. But it's definitely compliant. All right, so so once you get your telehealth session set up, then when you're setting up your services, let's say we have let's say, you know, you had already been working with clients in person and now you're transitioning to online, you definitely want to make sure down here. So you'll notice here that I don't see clients in person. I'm just completely virtual. So in my master settings for my free discovery call, I only have the option by phone or online video chat. So when you are setting up your availability and you turn the service on, the only options that you're going to have are these two. And maybe you're just doing online. But if there's any like days of the week, if you are phasing back into in-person, even if it's just once in a while, you want to make sure that this is checked so that you do have that option when you're setting up like your day-by-day availability, which, you know, we'll be looking at here in a bit. And then down here is where for the specific service, so I had set up Zoom as my default, but here I'm just, because my discovery calls are always just going to be one-on-one, I put in the specific service that my default is Practice Better Telehealth. So this is where you can change that based on the type of service. All right, so just make sure that you go into your services and, you know, make sure that this is checked and you have either Zoom or Practice Better set as your default. And then when you go into availability and you're setting up your availability here, so when you turn these services on, so for my initial, let's turn this discovery call. You'll notice that I only have by phone or video chat because in those master settings for the discovery call, I did not have in person. But even if I did have in person checked, I could actually uncheck that. So if on Mondays I was working virtually, I could just uncheck in person. Okay, so just make sure that as you're setting up your availability that you're looking through your different services and checking, making sure that you check the correct way that you're going to be meeting with people that day and time. Any questions on that?
Not specifically on that, Shelley. I'm seeing a few other ones coming in still about some of the compliancy and that side of things. But yeah, like we had said, you know, if there are specific questions related to where you live and such, definitely reach out to our customer success team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm just looking on some of the questions that came in. Oh, so then once you're getting ready for a session, so let's say I'm on the main dashboard, I have a session coming up tomorrow. I think this one's video chat. So when you go to the session details, this is where you're gonna see the place to start the telehealth. So if I click on this, let me see, I'm gonna kind of minimize this a little bit. So if I click on this Zoom, so if you want to put these side by side, you know, you would have I don't know if you guys can see this or not. I have the Zoom window and then I have over here. So when I go into this session details, I can actually, let's say it's time for my session. I open up my Zoom window, and I go in here and I say, okay, I'm going to add my session notes, and this will be an initial consultation. So I can have my session notes here side by side with my Zoom window. I just have the two windows next to each other. Okay. Let me close this down. Now, the other option is if you don't need to have it side by side, you can just open the client hub. So if you're just taking notes, I mean, let's say you're on the phone and you're just taking notes. So like, let's go in here and say add session note. So you can open the client hub here and you can be taking your session notes, and then you can be looking back at previous notes. You can be looking in the client file. So this is just a way to be able to reference some of the information about the client without having to open up two windows. Now you could still be doing this with the Zoom or the Practice Better Telehealth side by side. But if you're just on a phone call, you know, you could just be taking notes and then referencing in the client hub. And you can actually open, there's a setting in your settings that allows you to open multiple client hubs. Now you can uncheck that so that you can only open one, but maybe over here, I want to be looking at the medical history. And then over here, I might be referencing a protocol that the client's on. So you can have multiple hubs open and be referencing, you know, different information that can help you during your session. So any questions on that?
Yeah, I'm just seeing one, Shelley, specifically on the notes. So do the clients see those notes, they're asking?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when you set up your note template, so let's take a look at our initial consultation. Well, actually, let's take a look at some SOAP notes. So this is the template. So we're not in a client note yet. So when you set these up, you can actually create these separate text boxes. So you see we have each of the SOAP, subjective, objective, assessment, and plan in different boxes, because now you could have the whole SOAP note in the same box, but then you only have the option to either share everything or share nothing. But the way we set this up is each one's in its own box, and I actually made the plan as a default. So every time I go to share my note with a client, that they're going to see the plan. Now I can turn that off when I'm in there, and I'll show you that in a minute, but I'm just setting the plan as the default because I always share that. So now if we create this for a client, so create for client, Mary Smith. So now I'm actually in Mary Smith's note, and I know that I'm going to want to share some or all of the note and maybe even some attachments. So if I have some meal plans or guides or handouts. So the first thing I want to do is check this box, share notes and attach documents with my client. If you want to share anything, you need to make sure you check this first. And then down here, maybe I don't want to share my subjective notes, but maybe I do want to share the assessment. So I turn that on. And the plan was already turned on because I had that turned on in my template. And then once you've completed, once you're finished and you add whatever documents, protocols, or tasks, when you go to save, so save and exit. Now save, sign and save, that's gonna lock it. So for those of you who need to sign off on your notes, once you click this, you're not gonna be able to go back in there and make any changes or add to it. So if I just want to save and exit, it's just going to let me know that, hey, this is, are you sure that you want to share those two sections and whatever documents you attached with the client? So if you change your mind, you could say never mind, or if you're ready to go, you can say save and share. And now the client, when they'll get an alert that they have notes, but they're only going to see the assessment and the plan. because that's all I shared with them. So you don't have to worry that they're going to see the subjective and objective notes that I took. Any other questions about the note templates or session notes?
Yeah, so someone was just asking, where is this located, create template? So I think just confirming where to create those templates.
So under my practice down here, note templates. So if you click on the red fast action and say, you can either create a blank template and start from scratch, or you can create from, we do have some templates already created that you can use and modify. So if you want to come in here and say, you know, initial consultation. So these are called placeholders. So when I create this for a client, this is going to pull in my client's name, date of birth, medical history. So you can add those up here. These are all the fields that are in the client file that you can create a placeholder for. So it just makes it easy that you have that information in the note. So you can completely modify this template. You can add things to it. You can add, you know, images, video, tables, links up here in the editor. And so once you're finished, you're going to say save and then save as a template, and then that's going to add it. So here's the new one that I saved here. And then you can just create your own by scratch. Any other questions about the notes that you're seeing, Jen?
I'm just looking through, not that I see about the notes right now. Yeah, not about notes.
Yeah, so there was another question about, so when you're working with groups, like how do you create a group service and how do you invite clients to that? So let's take a look at group services. So if we go to my services, so these are, so when you create a new service, it's going to say, do you want a one-on-one or a group? So if we come here and say add service, you would come here and go to one-on-one or group. But I'm going to show you one that so I have a couple groups. I have a yoga and meditation class, and then I have a cooking with greens class. So you can come in here. It's very similar to setting up the one-on-one. Now this is yoga and meditation. Actually, I'm going to start offering that online video chat as well. You can actually put in if there's a max. So my max for this class is 20. So there's a lot of the same, you know, similar settings to setting up a one-on-one session. You can modify depending on what plan you're on, but you could be able to modify these email templates that go out. So once you set that up, then you can come in here. You can either schedule a session from here, or you can just go ahead and schedule it on your calendar. Or I'm sorry, on your availability. Okay, so I have my cooking with greens. So this one is every week on Friday from 12 to, so let's say I wanted to add my yoga class at 2 p.m. on Fridays. I could say add group service, and I could say, you know, which location it's at. It starts at 2 o'clock. It's going to recur every week on Friday. I'm just going to leave the end date open, and then I'm going to say save. So now if I click on that class, sorry, I'm going to go back to my schedule or my calendar. Okay, so I think I added that here. And if I go to edit, I can say, you know, just make sure that you're not changing any of the date and time. But when I say update, oh, sorry, if I go to view, so I'm viewing this group class, and here's where you can do a lot of things. So you can register clients for that group class if you needed to like update it or reschedule it. sending reminders. If you already have, so I have 3 people already registered for this. If I wanted to send a broadcast message, if you have that on the Plus or the Team plan, you could send a message to all those people, send forms. I could put a little internal note just for me and my partner practitioner that's also on my plan. I could share the registration. So if I am sending out an email maybe to some other people and I want to send them the registration link, I can actually shorten this. I can embed this in my email or on my website. And then if I want to see what that page is going to look like, I can click on Visit Page. And then this is what it's going to look like when somebody clicks on that registration. So Cooking with Greens, May 15th at 2 p.m. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. I think, oh, you know what? It's past my interval. Like I need 24 hours because it's already 2:30. So it's already too late to register because I have it set up that people need to register 24 hours in advance. But that's what the page would look like. So let's say I want to register some additional clients. I could just click on that and I could even select people from a tag. So if I have anybody tagged as like my main clinic, anybody with that tag would be registered, or I can just pick, these are not real people, just so you know, Tony Robbins. And then if you want to mark the attendees as confirmed so they don't have to get a confirmation email, I could mark that. And now I'm going to register. So from here, once you have these people registered, you can click on these 3 dots. If, let's say they had purchased a package that included this group class and maybe you added this class, you added them in, but now you want to link it to a package that they already purchased. You can link it here to one of their current packages. You can mark as confirmed, mark as canceled. If they canceled it and you want to keep track that, you know, somebody's been canceling more often and maybe you need to send them an invoice, and then you can unregister people as well. So yeah, so that's pretty much how your group classes work. And I have these set up as recurring, so you'll see each week. Now, if you're running like a group program, let's say in your programs, you have a group program. So let's say we have our spring 10-day detox. And under advanced options, this is where you can enable either the group chat or the group sessions. So what we were just looking at are the group sessions. So if I add a group session to this group program, do I want to automatically add new enrollments? So if somebody, Mary Smith, comes and enrolls in this 10-day challenge, she'll automatically be enrolled in any group sessions that I have. So whether it's the Cooking with Greens or the yoga, I won't have to actually go in and enroll her because she'll automatically be enrolled in any sessions that I add to this program. Then you can also add these group chats. So you can either add these here in the settings for the program, or you can add them in the actual chat feature, which we'll look at in a moment. But if you're in your settings for your group program, you can say enable group chat for this program. You say which program it is, and then you can either pick like the feed style, which is probably the more, this is most similar to say a Facebook where you know, have a post and then people comment on that post, and then, or you can do direct chat, which is just kind of a back and forth conversation. And then here, this is where you can determine in the group, do you want all the participants, do you want them to see the first name only, the full name, or first name and last initial? So I have just first name only. And then there's just some other settings, like if you want to add the new enrollments to the chat, just like the group sessions, if you want to allow the clients to view the who's, you know, the participant list if there's like a lot of people in the group. And then if you want them to see the profile photos of people. So you can kind of, you know, play around with these settings, but that's where we're in the advanced options, and that's where you can set these up to run your groups.
Yeah, Shelley, I just had a couple questions. So just one on the sessions themselves. So they're just wanting to verify that group session participants all get reminders in advance of the session.
Yeah, so that is when you're setting up that group service. So we go into our yoga and meditation class. Down here under the session reminders, so you can say, here I say use default reminders from my booking and cancellation settings. So that's in your settings. So whatever you set in there as far as how many reminders that you want to send and when. But if I uncheck that, then I can come in here and change from the default. So maybe I want to send like one 4 days before by email. I'm going to send one to myself. And then I think you can add up to 3. So I can add another one at 2 days. And then I'll add one like 4 hours before. Yeah, so once you have 3, then this will turn gray. But so when you set up your group services, you can either use the default from your booking and cancellation, or you can create custom reminders for that specific group service.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Shelley.
Okay.
And just one other thing too on these sessions. So someone had asked if a non-client registers, do they have to become a client to register, or can they register as guests?
Well, so the term client, I mean, from a technical standpoint, they would need to, if you're going to be running, if any of the content is like, let's go to a program so I can explain this. But when you set this up, if we look at the spring detox, if you're going to have them log in to view any of the modules. So in here, all of these modules actually have content in there. So they would actually have to log in to view the module. There is a way to set up email only programs. So if you want to run a program where they just get email and they don't ever have to like log in to view the module, then they wouldn't necessarily have to activate their account. But for any program that actually has content in the modules, they would need to activate an account with Practice Better. But that doesn't necessarily mean in your turn, like as a client, however you define them, you know, a client of yours, they don't necessarily have to be your client, but they would need to activate. They would need to be able to log in to view the content and Practice Better. But once the program is over, you can unregister people, and you could either deactivate their account, which would remove access from the portal. You can either delete it or deactivate it. So if there's any chance that you think you know they may be doing another program with you, maybe you're on the Plus plan and you have unlimited clients, so it doesn't matter how many clients, you could just deactivate it. And that way, if they come back to do another program, you can just reactivate it. But hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Shelley.
There's a question I see about, can you do evergreen programs? So yes, those are actually one of my favorite features. So under programs, it depends. You would need to be on our Plus or Team plan to do the evergreen programs. If you're on the Pro plan, you can do the fixed date program, so the group. So here's Healthy and Lean in 2020. So these two are evergreen programs. So I can go in here and I'll show you what the modules. So the evergreen programs, instead of saying, okay, we're going to start on May 1st and we're going to end on May 31st. This is just, people can register at any time, and you'll notice that these modules, I do have them dripping content. So the program overview module will start 1 minute after they enroll. I do have a module that's just open from the beginning where I'll be posting in here the links to the webinar replays that we're going to have each week. So you can just have like an open module that they can go in and access all the recordings. And then all of these, Nutrition for Life starts 1 week after they enroll, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So anybody can enroll at any time, and you can either have all the modules be open if you just wanted them to go through at their own pace, or you can drip the content. We can just take a look at that. So I can say, unlock the content at a scheduled rate. I can say how many, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. And then if you do want to specify a time, that's optional. This is where you set that up, and then you go in and you can put your content in here. So you can put images, video, attachments, all that good stuff. You can assign tasks to them, and then you can also attach any forms or worksheets that you have. These are all the online forms that you would have in your Practice Better. So if you have like a weekly progress update, or a food diary, or symptom question, anything that's related to that module that you want them to automatically get, you can attach it to a module.
Yeah, and one other question that's coming through, Shelley, is just so they're wondering, how do you send an email to all the participants that signed up for a program, such as like a day one email or support emails? And they're saying right now they send them from MailChimp.
Yeah, so if you're on the Plus plan, so we do have what's called broadcast messages. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. I mean, you can come in to your messages if you do have broadcast messages, and you can come in here, click on this red button, and you can say new broadcast. And then you can just say group program update. And then you can determine if you want to send it, if you just want to send an email, or you can do direct chat and email. So that would go through Practice Better. If they have Practice Better set up, they will get a message, and then they'll also get an email. And then if you want to schedule it out, like if you're just going to schedule these for like every week or something like that, you can set it up to be scheduled, or you can send it immediately. And then I could say, okay, everybody in my 21-day detox program, if you wanted to include like other people that weren't in the program, you could do that. And then you're gonna, enter a message here, whatever your message is. And then, so email subject. So this is what they're gonna see in their subject. Our program updates, and then the title is going to show up in the top of the email. And then down here is where you can enter your message, and there's some formatting. So if you wanted to, personalize it, I could say for contact, I could say hi, and then it'll pull in, Mary's name, hi Mary, and then my updates here. And I could do, if you have like bulleted points, or if you want to add any links, anything like that. So you create that in here, and then once you say next, it'll give you all the people. I only have myself in that group, but it would list all the people, and then I say send, and it's going to send it that way. Another option, I think I mentioned this before, is if you want to incorporate like an email only message. So it comes across as an email, and I guess it's just easier to show you. So let's go in here. So let's say you're in your program and you want to have a module that's an email only module. So they'll get like an email So let's say add module. I'm just going to say email only module. And then allow. Let's see, unlock. I'm going to just say they'll get this like 2 days after they enroll at 9 a.m. And then, okay, when you go into the email, so you go into edit template, and here, this is where you're going to have the email subject, the title, and now this is the key thing here. If you click this button, hide the view, so you unclick it, see where it has this view module. So when they get this email, if there was any content like a video or handouts or anything that was in the module, you would want them to have that button. But if you just want them to get an email without having to log into Practice Better, and you're going to put all of the content of that email here, it could be, you know, instructions, it could be, you know, a little recipe that you guys are all going to make, something like that. You would just say hide that button. So when they get the email, they're not going to have anything to click to go into Practice Better. They're just going to read it in the email. So then I can save that, and then let's save this. I'm going to say save draft. And now I'm going to rearrange. So if I go back to all of my modules, since that was day 2, I'm going to change the order because this is going to default down to the bottom. And I'm going to like move this up to go right here. So they'll have, this module will open 1 minute after they enroll. 2 days after they enroll, they're going to get an email only, so they don't have to log in for anything. You could have an email every day if you wanted to. The way it's set up though right now, just so you understand, and this could change in the future, but right now it is going to show up as a module, even though it's just an email. So just keep that in mind, because on your program registration page, you are going to have like all of your modules showing. So that's just the way it is right now. But you know, things could change on that in the future, but just so you're aware. So once you change the order, we can say done. And then I've got my email only. So I've seen people set it up that maybe in between the weekly modules, they're getting like 1 email. But you can also accomplish that through broadcast messages as well. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Shelley. And I was just going to say there was one question about someone looking for more information on programs and all the features. So I was just going to mention that we do have a really wonderful deep dive that is up on our YouTube channel. So we could send out the link to that with the replay as well for you guys to reference.
Yeah, really easy. If you're on our website, you can click down here on the YouTube, and the deep dives are really great. So if you go to playlists and then you just go to deep dives, we have our beautiful CEO, Natalie. All of the deep dives that we've done are out here, and you know, some of them are pretty lengthy, but you can watch them in chunks. So we have like how to nail your next group session, online programs, documents, services, and packages. One that I love is the forms and notes. So we really get into, this is almost an hour and 40 minutes, but for those of you looking to build some, you know, intricate forms, maybe you want to put in some conditional flows or some formulas or like totals and things like that. Make them fancy. We go into all the detail on how to set up forms, how to do your mappings, how to create note templates. So that's a good one of my favorites. But yeah, so that's where that is, but we'll include that link in our replay. Oh, I see a good question about the different, can you explain the difference between programs and packages? That's such a great question, because you know, we all have our terminology. So there's kind of the Practice Better terminology, and then there's your terminology and how you term things for your clients. So In Practice Better, a program is, we have two types of programs: the fixed date, which start on a certain day and end on a certain day, and then we have the Evergreen, which is like an e-course. It's just something where people can sign up whenever they want, and the content is dripped to them however you set that up. So that is a program in Practice Better. But a package, so if we go here to packages, let's pull up. So a package can be a bundle of your one-on-one services, a group service, a program, or even if you want to include like supplements or digital products. It's basically anything that you want to include here. You're telling them this is everything that you're going to get in this package, and all of that is going to cost. So you have your package fee. So for this package, I have $1,200. Now, I did set up a payment plan, but this is the total fee. And then here's where you're going to add your services, because Practice Better is actually going to track. That's one of the nice things about the platform, and what's going to save you so much time is that it helps to track their package. So when they book these sessions with you, it's going to deduct them from their package, and you can go in at any time and see where they are in their package, what sessions they've already had with you, what they have remaining, that type of thing. So you're going to come in here and add those sessions. You can like move them around, but they've got basically 10 one-on-one sessions and then 4 of the group sessions. But I also want them to be, to include my Healthy and Lean in 2020 8-module course, which is an evergreen course. So when they purchase this package, they're automatically going to be enrolled in this program, in the Practice Better program. So now, you know, our terminology is that this is a package because you're packaging together these different items, but you may call this, like you may actually call it in your, you know, marketing to your clients, a functional medicine 6-month coaching program. So when they purchase the package, they're going to be doing a program with you, but they're actually, from like a technical standpoint, purchasing a package in Practice Better. So they'll get these sessions, they'll get the e-course, you know, I can include like handout, whatever you want to include with it, but that's really what a package is. And so hopefully that explains it. And then I think I have a payment plan set up. But you're just, you know, bundling everything together for one price. So this price, this fee is going to override any fee that you have in these. You could be charging whatever for your individual consultations and for your programs, but once you put them in a package, then this is the only fee that's going to matter. Okay.
Yeah. So just a question on kind of the programs side of things. So someone just wanted to confirm, you can basically set up a program in Practice Better just like you would in something like Kajabi or Thinkific, and they're saying no need to run some stuff here and other stuff in other locations. So
yeah, I mean, I was actually using Teachable in my health coaching practice before I was using Practice Better. I think I was paying like $80 a month. And then once Practice Better came out with the programs, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I'm like, I can get rid of Teachable. So that was a huge cost for me to get rid of. I mean, those, you know, Thinkific and Kajabi are like, Thinkific is definitely more like a learning management system, like Teachable, and Kajabi is similar, but it's got, you know, funnels and other type of like marketing things on it. But if you are looking to keep all of your notes and protocols and programs and everything in one platform, and you don't need those platforms for like the marketing type stuff, then you can definitely, you know, move everything over to Practice Better.
Yeah. And then another question, Shelley, is just with regards to Evergreen programs specifically and whether they're available to all plans within Practice Better.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, and actually go back here to Practice Better. So you can always go, when you go to our website and then you go to our pricing page, you can click on view all features and you can see the comparison. So we have the Sprout free plan, starter, professional. So the Evergreen is available on the Plus and the Team plan, and then the fixed date is available on the Pro. So if you have Pro, you would get the fixed date, and then Plus and Team, you get fixed date and Evergreen. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, so there was just another question, Shelley, on programs. So just wondering if they're able to upload original content into programs.
Mm-hmm. Original content, like original videos?
Yeah, I'm not sure, they didn't specify, but yeah, just in terms of being able to really customize the modules, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's take a look at one of these. All right, so let's take a look at this one. So if I go into one of my modules, you're going to have your module overview where you determine whether it's going to be unlocked at a scheduled rate. You can customize the welcome email. But once you go into content, you'll see here I have a video. So just with video, there's a couple different options. So if you want to include the video as a file, so you're actually uploading like an MP4 file, you can do that. However, based on the Practice Better plan that you're on, you do only have so much storage. So you want to keep in mind, you can always purchase additional storage if you really like to have your videos files uploaded here. But if you do happen to have your video in either YouTube or Vimeo, so like if I go out to, just for an example here, I'm going to go to our YouTube. I just want to grab a link. So if it's YouTube or Vimeo, let me grab, how about this one? You can actually just embed the link and it'll open in the module. So I can come over here, and when you click, you'll get this little quick insert. So I can say insert video, and then I'm just going to paste the URL. And then you'll see that it'll embed it within the module. So it really looks the same as if you uploaded a file. Now, if you're using something different than YouTube or Vimeo, you can still put that URL. You could just embed it behind some text that says the name of the video, but then when they click on it, it is going to open in another tab or in a window. So if you want it to look like it's in your module, I would recommend uploading it into YouTube or Vimeo. And if you do want to upload the files, then you would need to check. So here is where like I just have some PDFs, and you can either disable the preview. So when, we'll take a look at it. Or let's see, okay, let's go out here. Let's just do a preview. So if we go to preview, this is how it would look to the client. So they would watch the videos, read the content. I put some images, but here I just have these files set for them to either view, and from here they can download the file or view it. So any file that's more than like this one I could have had open in the module because it's not that long, but if you've got like a 20-page, like this recipe book, and guide, they're pretty long. So if you have them open in the module, they can like scroll through it in the module itself. But if it's really long, that may not be the best option. And you can also disable download if you don't want the participants to be able to download certain documents. And then here's where they can come in and complete their tasks. And that way, you know, you can keep track of who's, you know, staying on track with the weekly modules and tasks and things like that. So yeah, any content that you want, you can put in there. But to see how much storage you have, if you just go to your home page down here at the bottom left, so here I'm using, I don't have too many videos that I've uploaded. I have 15 gigabytes of storage and I'm only using less than 1%. But if you needed to add any storage on, you could just come into your subscription and do your add-ons, and then I can add additional storage. So let's see, I have a question. How do you set up a package with 6 one-on-one? Yeah, this is a really good question. And actually, I've seen people set it up like different ways, and I think because they didn't really understand. So let's just do a package from scratch. So let's say you have, you know, sample package. Okay. So when you come down here to add the sessions to this package, if like some people initially thought, like let's say you had, let's say these 30-minute sessions, you get like 6 of those. So they would add 1 and then they would add it like 6 different times. So you'd see the same thing repeated over 6 times, but you don't have to do it that way. You can just come in here and say, okay, for this follow-up, we've got 6 of these. Okay, so it's just gonna give them 6 there. And then maybe they get like 1 initial consultation, and maybe you want to allow them to book that at the time they purchase the package, because that's the first one they're going to have. So we're going to save that and move that to the top, and then maybe they get 3 of the 1-hour follow-up sessions. So how it would look to them, I can move this up, is like if this is how your kind of the way that you work with people flows, like you do your initial 90-minute consultation, and then the next 3 follow-ups are an hour. And then after that, they're just half-hour sessions. They get 6 of those. So that's kind of how you add. So just, you don't need to add the same session multiple times. You just put in the number of how many they get, if that makes sense. So hopefully that answered your question. Are there any other questions about services and packages, Jen, since I'm here?
Yeah, I'm just checking. I don't see anything on services and packages specifically, but just kind of going back to with regards to like notifications that the client will get from a program module. So they're just wondering, can you tell who opened the email and if they clicked on a link?
Yeah, let me show that in a minute. I was seeing a question here about when a client, so the client then books and they go down. So if they book a package and then as they're using the sessions, it'll go deduct it from their package. So if you go to a client record and you can see package request, you can also click on here. Oh wait, these are package requests. But if I go over to booking and packages, I can see, so she has a pending request that I need to review and confirm. But let's take a look at, so she's got these different packages. So at any time I can go in and look and say, manage the package, and I can see, so there's a total of 14 sessions, 13 are remaining. So she's only had 1 out of the 14. So I can go in and book, you know, the next session, or I can invite the client to book, but yeah, we'll deduct it from the package. Okay, so so if I go to my client, Mary, and I can go into recent activity. She hasn't really had any. Oh, so if you go to recent activity, this is where you can see, now these are demo clients, so their email, I'm really not sure why it says email bounce, but probably because it's just a demo client. But this is where you can see if an email, actually, let me pick a different client. Let's see if we go to Addie. I go to recent activity. So here's where you can see like the email was delivered. You're not going to be able to see currently whether they clicked on it or opened it or any links were clicked on. You're just able to see that it was actually delivered to them. But, you know, this dashboard, this information, this is pretty new in Practice Better. So there's always things that are added, and I know, you know, requests have come in to be able to track whether emails were open, but that could be on the roadmap, but I am not sure. But yeah, recent activity, this is where you can, you know, sort by date, by different categories. Just looking through some more questions. Did you have anything, Jen, or I can pick out some questions here?
Yeah, so just with regards to, I'm not sure if we were planning to touch on this, Shelley, but just with a payment plan. So for packages, how would that work if you wanted to offer a payment plan?
Sure. So in services or packages or even programs, you can offer, now they're, at this point in time, they're always going to be, when they go to book this package, they're always going to be able to pay up front, or they're going to have the option to pay the $1,200 if they want to. But under advanced options, you can put under the display fee. So if I have a $500 deposit with 3 installment payments, this is what's going to be displayed like at the top on the booking page, which I'll show you in a moment. But again, when they go to pay the deposit, they're also going to see the option to just pay in full. So under here, this is where you can set up payment plans, and you can actually set up multiple different payment plans, but so you can just say add another, or we can take a look at this one. So this one is, I required a $250 deposit. So if I say, if I set this to require payment at time of booking, then when they are trying to book this package, they will either have to pay the $1,200 or the $250. I could also set it to just suggest that they pay at booking, but they don't have to. So if you definitely want to get something, then you would want to require payment, and they could just pay the deposit. Now, after they pay the $250, I want the remaining installments to be $250, and I want that next payment to be scheduled a month after they paid the deposit. So they pay this, a month later they pay $250, and then the remaining amount they're going to pay monthly every month, but you can set that to daily, weekly, monthly. So you have a lot of flexibility here. You can trigger payments at certain times of the day. You can put a more detailed description down here. So when I save this, I can come over here and say, okay, here's my $250 deposit. And if I want to see, like if they purchase this today, I want to see what the payments are going to look like, the remaining. So on June 14th is another $250. So they pay $250, $250, $250, and then the last payment is $200 on September 14th. But I could set up like another one where I require a $500 deposit, and you know, you can just set up multiple different ones.
Yeah, and then someone had asked, Shelley, if the client pays in full, can we provide a discount code for that versus those who choose to pay with a payment plan?
Yeah. So you'll notice in this package, I actually put in the description here, pay in full and use coupon code renew15 to receive 15% off. So you can put, just to incentivize people to pay in full. Let me make sure I have this one set up. So renew 15. So when you go to here and you go to billing and payments, and then up here you'll see coupons. And yeah, I do have this set up. So this is where you can go down here and say create a new one. But let's just do this one again. So renew 15. And then this is going to be a percent. You could either do a fixed amount if it was like $15 off, but you can call this whatever you want, but mine's a 15% off. Maybe I'm going to have it expire at the end of May. And maybe, so the max redemption, so this is how many times it can be redeemed. So if you only want to, if you said something like, hey, for the first 20 people that sign up, you can use this coupon code, but then after 20, like then, you know, that way you don't have to keep track of it. And then here under restrictions, this is where if you want to create like a global coupon that could be applied to any package, program, or service, but maybe for this, I just want this to be applied to this package. So I would click on that. You can have multiple choices as well. And then I save it. So this one already exists, but that's basically how you would set it up. And then when you go to, you go back to the package and we go to, let's visit the booking page. So here you'll see, here's the package title. Here's where that fee shows up. So $250 deposit, 4 installment payments. You get 14 total sessions, you get this program, and then for the initial consultation, you could go ahead. I didn't make it mandatory, but let's say I just wanted to book that now. So I can click on, let's say next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. And then let's put in Mary Smith. And then, it's weird. Let's see. I don't know why that's. And then here I actually attached a booking page form, so your clients would have to go through and read this Hipaa notice. So you can attach this under booking page forms, and then we're going to go ahead and sign here. This is like your electronic signature. And then you'll see here that, so under pay in full, it's given me the option for the coupon code. So I think it was renew 15. Okay, so 15, so I get $180 off. But if I do choose the payment plan, then that coupon code goes away. Now I had this set up to suggest to pay at booking, so I also have the option to pay later. So I have 3 choices, but if you require payment at booking, then you're only going to have these 2 choices. But I did, even though this is set up to suggest to pay at booking, so, oh wait. So one of the things, I didn't set this up, but if you do, if they're able to pay later, you can actually require that they put in their credit card information just to keep it on file. But I did not require that. But anyway, so this is where you would put the coupon code, and then that's, you know, they would get that amount off.
Yeah. So, and then there was also just when we're talking about, you know, some different flexible payment options for clients, someone had asked, is there a way for clients to pay in a monthly membership format?
Yeah. So currently, now in the future, there, you know, we are exploring options to do like true memberships where you could have like tiered membership levels and it's just kind of an indefinite ongoing thing. But right now, to set up a membership or subscription type plan, you would still just set that up in your advanced options. And so here I could just say, so this package is $1,200. So maybe I just want to do like $100 a month. So to the client, it's just it is gonna seem like a membership because you're gonna say $100 deposit, and then I want $100 1 month after that, and then I want that installment payments to repeat monthly. So they're gonna pay $100 a month for 12 months, and you know, I could just say, I could call this $100 per month membership. So that's how people are, you know, setting it up now, but it doesn't have like different tiers, you know, like if you had like a silver, gold, platinum plan or whatever. So that is something that our team is exploring, and you may see some updates on that in the future, but right now you would just set it up under the payment plans.
Yeah. And one other question that's coming through, Shelley, is can you offer a dollar amount discount negotiated individually at each session?
Well, yeah, that's kind of a tough one to answer without asking a bunch of questions. I mean, you could, what you could do is if they're just going to be, let's say you have like just a general, like, let's say one of these follow-ups, let's just use one of these. This could be just, you know, coaching session. And then you could have this be free. You could actually say, you know, hide fee. And then when they book this with you, like if you don't need payment up front, because you don't, like if you want payment up front, you would have to set up these different services like with different prices, but you could just not charge for it. And then once they've had the session, you would just send them an invoice for that session for whatever price that you guys have agreed upon, like after the fact. Or you could, another option, if you have, let's say like you have some set, let's say it's like a $50 coaching session, and then basically the lowest you would go would be like 35. So you would have like 45, 40, 35. You could just have this be like $50. So you could set it up $50 and you could suggest they pay at booking. But if you've negotiated something before they've actually booked that session, you could just create 3 different coupons. So one coupon code could be for $5 off, so they'd pay 40. They would use that when they book the session. You could have one for $10 off and one for, you know, $15 off. So depending on what they're willing to pay, you just give them the coupon code that'll give them a certain amount off. So that's another option. I don't know, Jen, can you think of any other options?
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah, it's I feel like we may need to know a little bit more about their workflow to answer that best. But yeah, for any questions like that that might be, you know, specific to your workflow too, we would, you know, love to have you connect with our customer success team, because they're, you know, really happy to help with those specific type questions also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do see a question about where do I find the URL to lead the client to the bookings on Practice Better? That's a really good question. So it just depends. It depends where you want to lead them. So a lot of our Practice Better users offer like free discovery calls, and they actually only want prospective clients to go to that initially. So they'll have that call and then first determine if they're a good fit for your practice. So if you only wanted to send somebody directly to one of your services or even to a package, you can just click on these three dots and say share link. And then you can create a short link, but this is where you would get the URL, and you can embed that like in an email, or maybe on your website, you might have a button like, you know, schedule your call or work with me. And then you put that link behind the button. And when they click on that, they're going to go directly to your discovery call page. So that's the only thing that they can book with you. But if you want to send them to your public booking page, so you can go down here under settings, share my link. And here you have what's called your, so you have your public profile page that will have, you know, a link that's just going to say your bio and credentials, and but you can also link to your public booking page. But if you let's take a look at this. So your public bookings page is going to have any service package or program that was marked as public. So if you marked it as private, it's not going to show up on here. So I have my follow-ups, my package, my program. I don't have my, I don't know why this is, I must have changed the setting, but if you want to create a custom booking page, so maybe you're only promoting like a couple different packages that you have, or this one is for, because I have another team member on my plan, so I have team discovery calls. So here, you know, this is going to be book an appointment. We look forward to working with you. And I just added the discovery call down here so that only that's going to show up on my team booking plan. So my colleague Mark, when they go to book a discovery call, they can either book it with me or with Mark. But if you want to create your own custom booking page, you can just say add page, maybe just do an individual if you're not on the team plan. And I could say, this is just for my website. So I only am going to put specific services on here, book an appointment, or you could say work with me or whatever, any kind of message. And then under here, do you want it to display the full product description? So whatever descriptions you have under your services, packages, or programs, it will be displayed. Otherwise, you can shorten it up. Then I want to use this as my default booking page. And maybe if you are doing in-person sessions, maybe you want to limit it to like your main practice. So now I want to add, now you can do categories. So if you have a lot of different services and you have like new patient category, current patient category, you know, massage, different, you know, categories. But if you just want to add a product, I can say here, I want to only have my initial consultation. I want to have these two and this package on my custom booking page. Okay, so now you'll see, and I can move these around if I want to. So now I've created a custom booking page. It's called my website, and I say save. And now if I want to get the link to put on my website, I just say get link. Again, I can shorten that. But if I want to see what it looks like, I can say visit page. And now you see that the only thing showing up is yoga, cooking with greens, initial consultation, and my functional medicine coaching program, because that's what I put on there. Okay, so you can create these custom pages and then you just get the link right here. Now, if you want to add a widget, so a widget is basically like what I just showed you on the booking page, but it's on your website. So if you have the ability to pull widgets into your website, I mean, not everybody does, but if you do, then you can come here and select that custom, where did it go? Booking page, my website. So that's the custom booking page that I just created up here. And maybe this is going to be the color inside your widget. So you probably want to pick one of your branding colors here. And then you're just going to, this is the HTML. So if you have like a web designer or developer that could help you with this, but you're basically going to copy the HTML, paste it in your widget, put it on your website. And then when they go through the booking process, it'll all be on your website instead of going into a separate tab. So you have your custom booking page and then your custom booking widgets down here. So you can get really fancy, or you can keep it simple and just use your public, your public booking page link right here that has everything that you're offering on it that's marked as public. So I think we'll take just a couple more questions because we're getting close to the end, but just know that if we didn't, we're going to be sending out the replay and just a whole bunch of resources that we talked about on today's call. So if we didn't get to your question today, absolutely, email our customer success team and they'll be able to answer that. But Jen, do you have any other questions that you think would be really good for us to go over in the last few minutes of our webinar?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So one thing I just wanted to say first, there has been a handful of questions regarding our team plan.
Oh, yeah.
So having multiple practitioners on one plan and admin. And so I just wanted to mention that we actually are doing a deep dive on that in 2 weeks,
yeah.
so on May 28th. So keep an eye out for the registration email for that if you are on a team plan or you're interested in, upgrading. But yeah, we're going to do a deep dive in 2 weeks on the team plan specifically.
Yeah, that'll be good because, even though, it does seem pretty simple, but when you get into adding your roles and kind of like determining what permissions to give to everybody, or, just giving them full access, like that kind of stuff is all going to be gone over in the deep dive coming up. So that'll be really good just to understand all the permissions and how to set up the calendars and all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one last question I'm seeing that we could just touch on quickly is they're asking, what if we have installment payments set up and the client didn't pay? Are we notified? And if so, how?
So the installments, so they would have their credit card on file. So I think it would just charge the credit card. So we integrate with Stripe and Square. So really the payments are not being processed like in Practice Better per se, like you're just connecting your Stripe or Square account. So I know that, I don't know, Jen, what are your thoughts on that? Because they can remove their credit card.
Yeah, so if the credit card payment fails, then you'll get an email as the practitioner.
And you can try it a couple more times after that.
Yeah, and then I think also it'll default to sending them an invoice if the credit card fails. So they'll get that email with an invoice attached as well.
Yeah, and you can always, when you're in their file, go into billing and payments, and if you want to see, like, you can filter by anything that's been unpaid. This is a demo client, so she never pays her bill. She's got somebody. I'm gonna have to get on her, but if you're just wanting to check too, you can just go in there and say unpaid, and then you can always just go ahead and resend their invoice. Or if you have them on the phone, you can actually, process a payment, put in the credit card information and process it here. You can actually record a cash, check, a bank transfer, or credit card is where you can actually process it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll just say one last thing. So there's been also a handful of questions about wondering if you know, for future questions, is there any support that they can reach out to? And as we've mentioned, our customer success team, you can reach out to them anytime at help@practicebetter.io for any, you know, technical support, troubleshooting, that kind of thing. And they're always there to support you.
All right, so we're at almost an hour and a half. These were really, really good questions. We'll have to do another one of these soon. But we really appreciate you guys, you know, taking the time to join us and all these great questions. I hope this was helpful. So I hope everybody's like staying safe and doing well. And, you know, we look forward to our next webinar with you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much to everyone for joining, for all your amazing questions. We tried to get to as many as possible, and hopefully that was helpful. And like I said, our next deep dive in a couple weeks is on the team plan. So if that's of interest to you, definitely make sure you sign up. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Have a great day and rest of the week.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, bye.